Maurice Brown, 32545 Willow Street, White Castle, Louisiana. Represent the town of White Castle, the mayor of town of White Castle. I'm here to ask DEQ and in support of Shintech receiving their permit for the plant. It's too many times over the years in my line of work that I've seen our children, and I call them our children because some are younger than me, that are continuing to leave the state of Louisiana to go find jobs elsewhere. This is the only time you've seen in a long time that a billion-dollar company is willing to locate, not just in Louisiana, but locally here in Hillville Parish. And I applaud everybody's efforts, whether you're for it or against it, but I'm standing here tonight to let you know the town of White Castle as a whole, from the mayor down to the board, supports Shintech getting its permit.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next, I have Mr. Gary Thompson.
Yes, I'm Gary Thompson. I live at 113 Melville Road in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I'm here tonight to speak in behalf of the XL employees who work up and down this river. Some of these work in the Shintech facility itself. But I just want to take a moment and go on record as being in support of this, getting these permits, getting this plant built. Our relationship with Shintech started in 1999 as in the construction area. And from there, we went into supporting them with their day-to-day operations out there. So we've had people that's been in the facility ever since they built it. And in those 6 years, I'm here to tell you that we've never had any serious safety concerns. We've never had the first exposure for our employees in this environment. They've created a very safe and environmentally sound place for our people to work. Many of these people are you folks as neighbors that live here. We work throughout the state. We service no company or client that we regard any higher than we do the people with Shintech and their commitment to our employees, which is important to us. In the 6 years, these folks have built a relationship, and the cornerstone of that relationship with us has been based on their commitment and their performance in the environmental and safety part of their business. And I just want to make sure that we on record in supporting these folks. We need them, the area needs them, and I hear the state needs them. So I'm here to ask for everybody's support and rallying behind these folks to get these permits through. Thank you.
Next, I have Mr. Russell Jones, Sr.
How y'all doing? I'm Russell Jones, Sr. 12921 Cypress Street, Port Allen, Louisiana. I'll tell y'all a story. I was born and raised in a mud hole. That ain't a good place. I couldn't make a good living fishing and I wasn't good at farming. So I went and got me some education. 4 years at ABC school training. Went to parent, been here since 20 years. My children got a good education now, and they ain't hurting them. They got good health. I got good health, and I support Shintech 100%. Thank y'all very much.
At this time, before proceeding any further, those were all the speakers I had signed up to speak. Is there anyone else who wished to speak before I reopen the floor to those who wanted additional time? It appears no one else. I checked my list, and I believe first up wanting additional time was Ms. Kirkland.
I'll address the sign that was brought up here a little while ago. You don't speak for the whole state of Louisiana. That's impossible. You can't converse with everyone in this whole state. I am one Louisianian who says no to Shintech.
You don't want to hear something. Come on, Al. Bye.
Yeah, I'm going back after she finishes. We'll go take a break.
I believe I was at the section where we were talking about buying and selling pollution credits. My name is Leslie Ann Kirkland. I am speaking again, representing myself and my environmental group, Aware. Regarding the Donaldsonville facility, DEQ, what criteria was used or law that allows Shintech to get pollution credits from another parish? Paragraph 8, Shintech has sponsored several pre-hearing meetings of their own. These meetings have escalated to the point of being productions. I have mentioned David Wise has a future in the entertainment field as a producer-director. A few reports on these meetings were in the permit volumes. These volumes contain false representation of these meetings. They need to be taken out or revised. They also contain at least one false statement that David Wise met with us on this permit prior to January 25th, 2005. I will instruct him tonight when I see him. Take it out or I will get a lawyer. I could have said that a little more politely. I'm sorry, I forgot what you told me about being polite. Paragraph 9, relates to the above-mentioned Shintech-sponsored public meetings. Question number 9, DEQ, do you place any value, that is, does it affect your decision, on the information that it supplies at these meetings? And do you subtract the people and their comments who are not here for environmental reasons? Like the number of people who feel their job would be threatened if they didn't come, or those who are applying at the microphone without an application, or various officials that have been courted in certain ways, or just whatever various and sundry types who drifted in for the buffet. Most recent events have been catered. These comments should not amount to official testimony, no matter where the meeting is. And as I said, the information is being manipulated to suit Shintech. I'm sorry, I lost a page. I am going to need to come back up because I need that page desperately.
We'll give you a short amount of time to find your page. Go ahead.
What pressure? I'll leave that pressure.
If you'd like, we can bring someone else up. Okay. I believe next on my list is requesting additional time was Ms. Avons.
I want to add a little information to the record. My name is Liz A. Banks, and I live in Blackman. I already provided my address. I want to remind everybody here that we mine us 3 communities in these 2 parishes because they were fence line communities and adjacent to industry and they were bought out by industry, and that was Reveal Town adjacent to Georgia Gulf, Morrisonville adjacent to Dow Chemical, and Sunrise adjacent to Placid Refinery. Seems I've learned no lessons from my experiences of the past. Chemicals cannot be contained by fence lines. it's a given fact that in releases, they can go miles and miles. We should not be locating any facilities within at least 5 to 10 miles of where people reside. We don't need to be talking about any more buyouts either. We also minus the community of Myrtle Grove, which was poisoned by vinyl chloride. Not an adjacent community, but had vinyl chloride in their drinking water. This is shameful. Is this what we want a reputation for? When my aunt was 9 years old, she was sent home in a boxcar from New Orleans to die because it was cheaper to transport a live person than to transport a body. She came home, my grandmother put her in the sun, fed her fresh vegetables. She not only grew up, she grew up to have her own family. These are the things that can help us. We have a big obesity problem in everywhere. It's in the forefront every day. We could be the organic food capital of the world. Yeah, it's a little more labor intense, but the potential is there, and we've been gifted with natural resources that can sustain that kind of development. I want to charge DEQ with their regulatory authority that they need to review and scrutinize the public trust issues, the site assessment. Was a true site assessment done? Just because EPA allows the buying of emissions credits does not mean that they should be done here where we're in a non-attainment zone. I want to remind DEQ one more time about that worst case scenario. If it ever happened, you probably won't be around. But you, Shintech, and all the other facilities here, and the corporate people, at those corporate headquarters that are way far away from us, that make all those decisions, that think they exempt from it, I hope they have to pay, and I hope they have to pay so big that they won't be in existence anymore. I love my children, I love my family, and I love my community, and I want to remain here. And those who choose to go because they don't want to get a job that pays a little less than elsewhere, I bet you'll come back because you'll appreciate when you come back what you left. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avons. Ms. Kirkland, are you ready?
Paragraph 10. I have serious concerns about the forested area on the property. Ashland, the former owner, designated it as a wildlife management area. Question number 10. DEQ, will this still be so, and will Shintech be prevented from knocking the woods down in the future? The term knocking the woods down has been heard around town. So said from a pipeline worker who was working for Shintech before this hearing. When David Wise was questioned, he said that Ashland maintained a presence there and that Shintech was not doing any pipeline work on the site yet. A related question to number 10, what data was used to ascertain if there were any bald eagles present or not in these woods? Please refer to the notes in the text of my attached letter for pertinent information related to these questions, and also for my personal opinions on some of them. DEQ, please say no to this permit. Iberville Parish is saturated with chemicals and cancer. You have said in the past it's about regulations, and if they meet them, we can't do anything. If I am to remember your world is only about regulations, please remember ours, public citizens, is about common sense and personal observation. Huge amounts of chemical production and releases is equaling huge amounts of cancers. Shintech is no different than any other plant. They cannot contain their emissions on site. Their profits are requiring our exposure to chemicals that can kill us. The regulations that they meet are set through lobbying efforts. Then I mentioned the Georgia Gulf incident, so much for self-reporting. Of 360 facilities reporting, Georgia Gulf is listed as 44th in toxic releases, but I'm wondering what their real standard is since, they lied about their emissions. In regard to the list of questions that I had, these are pertinent, important questions related to the permit, questions that should be answered before a permit decision is made. And I think that the DEQ would be delinquent and negligent if these questions were not answered. And I don't want just a yes or no on some of these questions. I want backup data provided, and I want a rationale for answers, and I want the full text of each paragraph to be considered. I've done about 40 hours of research and or work on this particular permit, and I've done environmental work for 19 years. The 40 hours is a drop in the bucket compared to what's been done as a whole by other people and what should have been done, period. It's come at great cost. I shouldn't have any concerns because everything should have been addressed in the permit, but it wasn't. And many times I feel like the DEQ doesn't do that part of its job. And then when we do it for them and lay the information in front of them, it's ignored. Please don't ignore us. Public comment periods of 30 to 45 days are severely insufficient. Industry has forever to get their permit volumes together, and regular people have to find time in their regular lives to review them. We're not paid 9 to 5 to review these volumes like industry people who are paid to create them. I do have more comments and backup data that I am going to submit before the 31st. I have a letter to the editor that I want to put in the record, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, just a couple of things. Shintech wants to produce 1.1 billion pounds per year of chlorine, 1.6 of VC, 1.3 of polyvinyl chloride. Toxic releases from new production are not what we need. Jobs will come, but so will cancer deaths. Why are we always the killing ground? Why are we hardly ever offered something clean that won't harm us? VC causes cancer, targeting the brain, liver, lungs, blood, and lymphatic system. There's a connection to Raynaud's, a form of lupus. It causes scleroderma and this other disease state that I can't pronounce. It looks like a crustiolisis. Changes in the extremities, bone and vascular. It causes genetic damage and other reproductive problems. A rare liver cancer called angiosarcoma. Brain cancer called glioblastoma. We had testimony earlier from somebody in the audience, and there's someone else in town who died of that. Longtime public official and public servant. He didn't beat the odds. Mike Zito grew up a few doors down from me, and he was one of a kind and unique. It's been 2 years since we lost him, but for friends and family, the wound's still sharp and fresh. Our group has no comprehensive means of gathering data, such as the type of brain cancers we're experiencing in the parish. But if the means ever present themselves, i.e. lottery, this would be a priority study. Suffering and deaths of our community members is a call for action. I want to say to DEQ that there are a lot of people who are still very, very upset about this permit request. They came out when Shintech first tried to cite here. Hundreds of people did what they were supposed to do, protested, wrote letters, did everything they were supposed to do, and their government failed them. And everyone that I talk to right now does not want this permit, but feels like, what could they do different that's going to change anything? I mean, they're very upset about it. The most recent toxics release inventory data that I got from the DEQ last month was dated April 2004 and covered the year 2002. Iberville Parish was featured prominently in just about every pollution category listed. Of 64 parishes, Iberville ranked 3rd in releases to water, 7th to land, 7th to air, 5th to underground injection, 1st in dioxin, 8th in overall toxics releases. Of 360 facilities required to report, Dow ranked 20th in overall toxics releases, 12th to the air, 25th to the water, 9th to the land, 1st in dioxin. Clean Harbors, which most people refer to as a Rollins injection well, is 5th in underground, 21st overall. Georgia Gulf is 13th in releases to the water and 11th in dioxin, according to the numbers they reported. Syngenta is 5th in water and 14th in underground injection. The parishes that surround us had another 49 entries. I mean, that's what we're breathing. We don't need any more. The data is supplied to you from industry. Whatever they feel like reporting that's what you get. And again, you know, we need to have dual monitoring. It's ridiculous to just believe them. The numbers are vastly understated, and that's just really scary. A couple of other things on my time.
Since there's no speakers behind.
Okay, chemical companies always say that they'll be state of the
Time
art.
for Ms. Zuber.
What's that?
Just leave some time.
You want to come up now, and then I'll come up after you?
And if the speaker wants to relinquish the podium, it's fine.
That's fine.
Come back up after.
Whichever way you want. Oh, God. With Chip and Dale in here. No, you like those little chipmunks in that old cartoon. You want to come up? All right. I'm gonna let Will come up.
Once again, my name is Wilma Suber, and I'm representing the Louisiana Environmental Action Network, and I'd like to present two other sections of our comments. I call the process piecemealing of the permit process. The head of the chamber called it, Shintech will do much, much more in this area. The Shintech Plaquemine PVC plant is designed to produce chlorine, ethylene dichloride, vinyl chloride monomer, and polyvinyl chloride. The vinyl chloride monomer that will be produced will be used to supply the VCM unit at the Plaquemine PVC facility. It will also be used to supply the existing Shintech facility in Addis, also referred to as Addis Plant A. The PVC production expansion at the Addis Plant A, which was one of the proposed sites, will be supplied with the vinyl chloride from the Plaquemine plant, and the Borden PVC facility in Addis, which is now owned by Shintech and referred to as Addis Plant B, will also be supplied with vinyl chloride from the Plaquemine plant. As you see, it's much more than, quote, the existing Shintech and the proposed Plaquemine facility, but a large number of other facilities will be supplied, and there will be permit requirements. The Shintech Plaquemine facility will be connected to the Shintech Addis plants A and B by pipeline. So yes, Russ, there will be pipeline construction at some point. The current permitting process is limited to only the Shintech Plaquemine facility. The permitting process for the Shintech Addis Plant A expansion, Shintech Addis Plant B former Borden facility, and the pipeline connecting Plaquemine with Addis A and B should all have taken place at the same time as the permitting process for this proposed Plaquemine PVC plant. And that should have been done in order to be able to determine the environmental impacts of the construction and proposed operation of all of the new and increased production capacities and associated infrastructure. The DEQ should immediately require the permitting process address all of the Shintech activities associated with VCM and PVC production and transportation scheduled for Iberville and West Baton Rouge parishes. The Addis Plant A, Shintech purchased 1,100 acres adjacent to the Addis Plant A for expansion of PVC production, and that was one of the three sites that was looked at for this proposed facility. So the vinyl chloride monomer produced in Plaquemine will allow for the expansion of the PVC manufacturing capacity at Addis Plant A. In 2002, Shintech purchased the Borden Plastics and Chemical Facility in Addis, and Shintech again plans to refurbish that plant and produce polyvinyl chloride using VCM from the Plaquemine plant. And the pipeline, the VCM, will be piped from Shintech Plaquemine to be supplied to plants A and B. The permitting process for the proposed activity at Addis plants A and B and the pipeline connecting the two plants to the Plaquemine plant should have been included as a part of the permitting process for the Shintech Plaquemine plant, rather than piecemealing the permit process. We will be back here again and again and again for air permits for those facilities. DEQ should immediately require that the current permitting process address all of the proposed Shintech activities in the two parishes. And then, on April 19th of 2005, the U.S. Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia Circuit vacated the NESHAP PVC MAC rule in its entirety. The issue was that EPA had failed to set emission standards for all of the hazardous air pollutants that are released into the air by PVC plants. 7 days after the court decision, April 26, 2005, Shintech submitted to DEQ a case-by-case MAC determination for the Plaquemine PVC plant. By the very next day, April 27th, DEQ had revised the Part 70 air operating draft permit for the Shintech Plaquemine PVC plant and issued a public notice that was published the next day in the newspaper. These are the failures on the part of DEQ in this process. After the court decision, DEQ failed to establish the best performing similar sources as required in the Clean Air Act. DEQ failed to determine how much better than the floor could be achieved in order to be more stringent than the floor. DEQ failed to establish emission standards for all of the hazardous air pollutants, including vinyl chloride from the PVC plants. DEQ failed to perform the process and establish a record before reissuing that Shintech Part 70 draft permit, which they did the next day. There was failure on the part of Shintech. Shintech failed in their initial air permit application, dated February 2005, and their case-by-case MAC determination, dated April 26, 2005. For the Plaquemine PVC plant, Shintech failed to list all of the hazardous air pollutants that are emitted from PVC units. Shintech only issued methanol, vinyl chloride, and chlorine mishaps to be released by the unit. Polyvinyl chloride facilities emit vinyl chloride, dioxins, chromium, lead, chlorine, and hydrogen chloride. And in Louisiana, DEQ letter in 2001 said emissions from the newest PVC facilities in Louisiana were vinyl chloride, methanol, chlorine, ethylene dichloride, chloroethane, chloromethane, and hydrogen chloride. Shintech failed to list a large number of these. Shintech also failed to make a case-by-case determination for vinyl chloride, and it failed to make a case-by-case determination for all of the hazardous air pollutants that were not included in their application. Shintech failed to implement the required technology that Lean had previously asked for to reduce vinyl chloride emissions through the use of new reactor technology that would result in reactors opening losses being greatly reduced, and 2, the implementation of technology that would eliminate or greatly reduce vinyl chloride emissions from the dryers. Lean is hereby requesting a 30-day extension to the public comment period in order to allow DEQ to perform the required task that I listed above and establish a record documenting the process of developing the standards for the hazardous air pollutants associated with PVC production. Once the standards are developed, the public must be allowed adequate time to review and comment on the standards and the process that was used to develop the standards. Lean appreciates the opportunity to comment on the proposed permit, and the other issues are presented in the written statement that was presented here for the record. Thank you very much.
You didn't want to include those as part of your exhibits that you've entered?
We did. We included them all in the first exhibit.
Okay.
It's there.
Make sure. Thank you, Ms. Silver. Ms. Kirk.
Thank you so much, Wilma. A couple of comments were made about the people in St. James being sad about their situation, not having Shintech. Everybody I talked to in St. James is deliriously happy that
Who you
Shintech is
talk
not
to?
there. Beg your pardon?
Who you talk to?
Who did I talk to? Pat would be one person, Phyllis would be another person. And I don't answer to you about who I talk
I don't
to.
want you to answer me.
I'm talking, it's my turn at this microphone. Can you do something with her?
I think we just need to
Yeah,
let the
she said
speaker
question.
speak.
Okay, I have to tell her.
You told me nothing.
I told you something.
Can you do something with her?
No, you can't. I'm here.
I'm
I'll be
gonna
quiet.
I'm gonna have, you can address her after she's finished. You're welcome to
Okay.
come up and address whatever you feel that
Okay.
you need to, but you need to
Okay,
let
I
the
will.
speaker finish.
I will.
As I said, everybody I talk to in St. James is deliriously happy that Shintech is not there. Something that I wanted to bring up about BC, the odor threshold is 3,000 parts per million, and yet the OSHA standard is at 1 part per million, which means people can be getting their lethal dose and they don't even know it. I mean, I know that industry probably has a way to deal with this. They maybe put monitors on people, but I don't have one. And nobody else around them has one, unless they're maybe working in the facility. Another issue that was brought up was why people leave here. One of the reasons that people leave Louisiana is because it's too polluted. There have been some other people who came up and spoke who said that everyone in their parish or everyone in another thing about White Castle, that everyone in White Castle wants it. That's not true. Talked to 2 people today, they don't want it. Just a couple of people that I talked to in White Castle. Can you do something with her, sir?
Please, if you want to speak after her, that's fine, but
Okay.
let the speaker finish.
I didn't finish it this time, but okay.
Chemical companies say that they'll be state of the art and that they'll operate within the law and that they're the cure to our unemployment problems. I've heard this every year of the 19 that I've been doing environmental work. State of the art hasn't translated into clean air. And they said easy law through lobbying efforts, and our employment stats are always some of the worst in the nation. And somebody needs to start holding these people accountable for wild claims they make when they want something from us. My fellow environmentalists and I have been called radicals over and over again. I contend that the terms radical and conservative have become interchanged. What is more conservative than wanting and working for the basics, clean air, land, and water? And what is more radical than wanting to produce an extra 4 billion pounds per year of 3 deadly chemicals? Industry and government are the radicals, while regular, everyday people who are striving for normalcy and some local control over their lives are the conservatives. And I want the DEQ to move over to the conservative side. This permit request, if granted, will cause our health statistics to worsen and other risks will rise substantially. Nothing that Shintech offers us in return is worth the exchange. What they pose is inhumane, immoral, and should be illegal. And if they're granted this permit, will be subjected to more chemical emissions that have been proven to cause cancer. And some of us who get these cancers will die. To me, that's like production with intent, like a premeditated murder, but more random, as though industry is shooting into a crowd. Where's a big-time bow lawyer when you need one? I think this is very fertile legal territory, and that's just my opinion. And the last thing I want to say is, anybody who comes up here after me, I can rebut anything they have to say, but I'm not going to play a game going back and forth. Thank you. Please say no to this permit.
Ms. Kirkland, earlier you said you had an exhibit that you want to place in the record?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you bring it to them? And you need to tell me what it is so I can log it up here.
Okay, it's a letter and a list of questions and a letter to the editor.
Thank you. Just hand it to the court reporter when you get finished pulling it down. Jason, did you want to take the speaker?
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say my name again, it's Alberta Hastings, and I'm standing up here for Alberta Hastings, even though I have represented my council, and I don't feel like playing cat and mouse, because it's not a cat and mouse game. We're talking seriously about life. When you're living in it, sleeping in it, and you don't have nowhere to live, that's another story. But I live at 32365 Dr. Dean Street in White Castle. And I have represented White Castle for 20-something odd years. Now, we do have a split there, because you have white and you have black. If you want to look at it, a black and white situation, you'll see you have a good and a bad side. You have the poor and the unpoor. And when you're standing up saying you're going to represent, you represent people. And you really don't look at the race, but sometimes you have to. Because when they talk about, you're not talking about White Castle, just because the name White Castle, believe me, it's not White Castle. It's 98% black people, Hispanics and whites, and they are poor more than they have rich, and they have some, and they need jobs, and they need doctors, and they need hospitals to come in. So I'm here to say, yes, we'll say it loudly. We support Shintech coming in, and we're proud that they're coming in. Georgia Golf was here, Dow was here. We don't know about their laws, policies, and procedures, because the state recommend them, or they're supposed to be overlooking them. But they haven't in the years. So now they have a chance to do the right thing and start looking at what they're doing. It's coming back and forth and just saying, I'm going to be talking. No, that's not me. I don't have to do that. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, for what the people need, for what they want, and what they must have. Shintech will be coming here, and we want DEQ to approve the permit. Thank you.
I have no further people who have signed up. At this time, I'd ask if anybody wanted to say anything before I close the speaker's podium. I'd open it up to anyone who wishes to speak at this time. I see someone with their arm up. You will need to fill out the little form before you speak, though.
Already spoke one time. I just-
Okay, if you'd like to speak again, go ahead.
My name is Liz Evans again, and I just want to echo what Wilma said about requesting an additional 30 days to the comment period, and what that means.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to ask for an additional 30 days to the comment period, and then once DEQ responds to the comments, I want an additional time frame to look at that response document and have time to comment again. And I want to know what your name is. I'm sorry I wasn't here when I'm here and open.
Okay, my name is Mr. Terrio. I'm the hearing officer, Barry Terrio.
Terry, okay, in case I need to call. Thank you.
I'd like to have just one more little small thing to say.
Do you have, you
Yes,
filled out?
I'm Vera Brooks from the Elder Community,
Okay.
and I'm one of those in less than a 1 mile radius I'm not from White Castle. I will be right there. And everybody's complaining there. Our lives gonna be the one hit first. This is what you gotta realize. Yes, I used to be against chemical plants. And like I said in the other meeting, I supposed to have 5 cents. I only had 4 working at the time, but now I've got them all 5 clicking now. So let's click to the permit for Shintech. We right there. We wake up, our windows are up. Whatever goes down, we going down first. Not you, not White Castle, not Quakerman. But we right there. Now, if we can stand up, Ella community. These are people here. We've had 60, 70, 80, 100, 150 people, residents on the Ella. You see what it's boiling down to? But we still fighting because we know we have children. I have grandkids that's going to come along and need jobs. And whatever, if it's cancer or whatever, I probably got it already. Just get ready to put me where I got to go. But I'm fighting for my grandkids coming up and my child right there. You know, but as far as all this long distance surrounding area, we there, and we want Shintech there. We gonna die
Are there
first.
any more speakers? We have one more.
No, we ain't gonna die, but Shintech gonna see to that.
Randy Thigpen, 3247 Emily Drive, Raleigh. I did want to respond to some comments made by the lady earlier about not quite knowing what the laws are, just knowing that people need jobs and the Shintech would provide jobs. And those, I expect a lot from our DEQ. When a permit is issued, that the DEQ is going to make sure that permit is followed. Just a couple of examples from recent years. There was a plant in Port Allen. They had a problem with a water release, something in the water that was released from the plant. And the officials showed up at the plant manager's house and arrested him and took him away in handcuffs. That was a permit that was violated, and there was a price to pay for it. I don't know much else about it. I would imagine that the situation was remedied and it was cleaned up and it wasn't done again. And you may remember within the past couple of years at a plant in Geismar, federal officials showed up with guns drawn. I suspect that was a permit violation. And Mr. Wise, I'm sure you're well aware of the possibilities about violating a permit. And I appreciate you pursuing your permit, even though you know that chances must be taken so that this community can go on. We can make products, we can manufacture, and we can deliver products, we can live our lives and have jobs for ourselves and our children. And I thank you for taking those risks, Mr. Wise and Shintech, and I support you and support you getting your permit.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Your name again, I know you were back there.
Yes, Catherine. Let me begin by saying that the Safety Council is dedicated to fostering and protecting safety for everyone in the workplace, in our home, in our community. That's our mission. We have approximately 500 members, most of which live in the 8 parish areas surrounding Baton Rouge. We feel fortunate to have Shintech as a community partner. We value the strong relationship we have with them, and we offer all of their training that anyone is welcome to view and ask about. We have a wonderful training program set up for them, as well as the other plants. They have a proven record. In 2000, the Vinyl Institute named Shintech's PVC plant in Freeport as one of the 4 companies to win their Environmental Excellence Award for 9 consecutive years of outstanding performance. Again, in 2004, they named Shintech Freeport as one of the companies to win that same award, this time for 13 consecutive years for outstanding performance under the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's National Emission Standards for Hazardous Air Pollutants, NESHAP, and an outstanding track record for environmental performance. Our own state officials are now referring to Shintech as a model corporate citizen for their performance in West Baton Rouge. And the Safety Council is pleased that Shintech has chosen Louisiana, specifically Iberville Parish, to build a $1 billion plant. The project will rank as the largest U.S. investment by an outside chemical manufacturer. This plant will create 150 full-time jobs, salaries between 55 and 60 annually, will employ 50 more workers on a contract basis, and will create a huge boost for the economy of approximately 2,000 construction jobs. For the above reason, we strongly stand behind our decision to grant Shintech necessary construction permits and air permits for its proposed integrated complex in the Plaquemine area.
I see one more hand wishes to speak.
I have my paper right here in my pocket. My name is Dorothy P. Williams. I live at 53900 Ella Road. I fully agree with Vera Brooks saying. We right under the plat. We can sit here all night debating. The biggest majority wins in anything. We are for Shintech. Please, DEQ, give them their permit to go on with this plant. We need this plant. Our children need this plant. We are fighting for our rights in our community. So the bigger majority wins, so we could just sit here and debate. Everybody wants the plant, so please issue to them. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, at this time, I'm going to give my closing remarks and thank each and every one of you for showing up. This is a citizens forum and a hearing. It's unique to the United States that we can come in here and sit and give our views, and no one is going to get out and shoot you for giving. Keep that in mind. This is one of those things that makes us unique in the world. If we can come in here and talk about it as citizens. I consider it a privilege to sit up here and be a hearing officer where people get up and just speak their minds. DEQ, as a hearing officer, will prepare the reports and do what is required by law. But these things are always a pleasure for me. Much like when I go to jury duty, I never get to serve on a jury, but it sure would be nice to be on one once every now and then. And as a lawyer, I consider it very much a privilege to do this kind of thing. And I'd like to thank everybody here for coming out and saying what they have to say. Now I'm going to go with what I'm legally required to say over here. This time, I'd like to remind you that the comment period for this proposed initial Part 70 air operating permit, PSD permit, and the associated environmental assessment statement for Shintech, Louisiana, LLC, Plaquemine PVC plant, Plaquemine, Iberville Parish, Louisiana, ends at 12:30 p.m. Tuesday, May 31st, 2005. There were, Ms. Kirkland, did you get your exhibits? Okay. There were 3 exhibits that I accepted. The first was from Mr. Barker. It was a letter from Nancy Gunn, his sister. The second was from Wilma Subra, which was her prepared think I left off the list by any chance? Okay, that being the case, if there's no other comments, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your attention you paid and your decorum, that's not in here. Everybody here conducted themselves honorably and wonderfully. I've seen very much